Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Speak Up Erika podcast. And today I have my friend Jess with us. Woo!
Hey.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Jess and I know each other through, we used to work at Second Cup together and be baristas.
Good old Second Cup.
Yep. Did you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure.
And then I'll ask you some fun questions after.
Okay. That's cool.
Okay.
Obviously, my name is Jess. I'm currently living in Hamilton, Ontario, which I love. It's really nice here. I'm a crazy yogi, so I'm one of those people that does yoga every day and tries to incorporate yogic philosophies into my everyday life. And I don't know, I'm just me.
Oh, yay, I love that. So Jess, do you want me to get into the first question then? Is that okay?
Sure, go for it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Growing up, what did you want to be and why?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I was always super into like space and like dinosaurs.
Oh.
So yeah, I was like one of those dinosaur kids.
Yeah.
So I had this dream of being an astronaut for a long time until I had what I want to call a nightmare now.
Oh.
Of being in space and, well, dying in space. So I was like, yeah, maybe that's not such a good career path for me. But I was also super into dinosaurs, as I said, so I wanted to be a paleontologist. I think I was just interested in like our history and like the things that came before us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of seeps into my life now if I think about it. But
yeah. Wow.
That was me as a kid.
Yeah, kind of like Ross from Friends whenever I think about dinosaurs.
Oh my god, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. Wow.
That's cool though. Like, it's funny because when I was in, I think, elementary school or beginning of high school, I also wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I thought about it, which is funny that you say that. Who says they want to be an astronaut? Like, I haven't heard anyone else say that.
No.
Yeah.
But it's funny because cool in TV shows you see that a lot from like children in like mainstream media, right? They're like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. You want to go to space. But
yeah,
it's funny because if you actually think about it, it's like, no, you're going to space. Like, that's some serious stuff.
Yeah. And they have to go through a lot of training and be really smart.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just like
right? Like, ooh, we get to float around.
Yeah,
that's cool. Like, what is it called? Rocket science?
Yeah.
Isn't that like one of the most complex things?
Yeah.
That exist? Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
Oh.
Not quite smart enough for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I think so. Yes, my next question is, what are your movie habits?
Movie habits?
Like, when you go to the movies, do you have certain habits or do you buy certain snacks and like kind of have a ritual? Yeah, because
I guess so. I never really thought about that actually. That's an interesting question.
Like, you wanted me to say an
example? Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
And then, if that helps.
Yeah, go for it.
Like usually when Matt and I, my boyfriend and I, go to the movies, we always get a large bag of popcorn and hot dog and poutine. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
that sounds good.
I don't know if that's really a habit or
like it's almost like a tradition or like a ritual, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
You go and you feel the need to get these things. And it's almost like a comfort.
Yeah.
It's like a comforting thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I think I like popcorn, but I'm more of like a sweets person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always go for like Skittles or like, I don't know, gummy candies like Sour Patch Kids or something like that.
Yeah.
Always a drink because I'm like perpetually thirsty like all the time. And I always find myself heading to like the back row or like somewhere near the back. I don't know why.
Yes,
but yeah, I think seating is important when you go to the
movie. That's true. it's funny because for me, I'm always going to the back, but then Matt always wants to go in the middle. So now we kind of have to compromise on where we sit.
So that's kind of similar to like me and Matt. My fiance's name is Matt. He's like more of a middle guy too, because he's like, oh, we want to get like the best picture
view
that you could get. Yeah. But for me, I'm like, but it's more comfortable, like up at the top.
Yeah. You can see like the full picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so
you
funny.
Understand. Yeah.
I guess we can get into the topic of today, and we wanted to talk more about spirituality and like what the meaning of life is.
Yeah.
That sounds really deep.
deep.
Yeah. Yeah, Jess. So I guess for you, what does spirituality mean for? Yeah.
Okay, so I was raised in a like Christian, like Catholic household. Mm-hmm. So we went to church a lot, like when I was growing up. But when I was a teenager, I don't know, you start to kind of lose that, or maybe your parents don't have as much force over you to be like, oh, you have to go to church. Mm-hmm. So I found myself not going as often. Mm-hmm. That's when I started to kind of be interested in like other religions and just like a bigger meaning of life, or like what else is out there. So for me, spirituality is really anything that can connect you to yourself, or like your true purpose here. And I just kind of believe that everything carries like an energy, and that's something really important to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Because even with the things you say or the things that you do, you're always putting a certain energy out there, and I think that affects everyone as a whole, because we're sort of like a collective consciousness. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess like going back to like the way that you grew up and the religion that you're from, do you think that really plays a lot into like your spirituality now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because I feel like in at least Catholicism, you're sort of taught that like the higher power or God is a person. It takes like, it's a personified figure, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to picture like this old man with a long white beard, and like, you know, he's kind of sitting up there in the clouds and he's watching you and sort of judging every move that you make. But I don't necessarily think that's true. And I think that sort of scared me as a kid, or the way I look at it now is almost like it was like a fear-based tactic to kind of be like, you should do this or this will happen. Mm-hmm. So I think it affects me now because I don't necessarily believe that anymore. Like I do believe in things such as karma, but I don't think that always has to be like a bad thing.
Yeah. What do you mean karma being a bad thing? Like getting bad karma versus good karma?
Yeah. So like if you, I don't know, called someone a name or something, and then something bad happens to you, you stub your toe or like whatever. Like I don't think, like I think that exists, that kind of karma exists, but I don't necessarily think that karma is always inherently negative. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think like going back to learning about church and being Catholic, I was very Catholic, I guess, very Christian. What is the word? Very holy.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, holy.
Yeah. Growing up, and like my grandma would make me lead the rosary prayer for her and her friends, and like just sexes after marriage and all that kind of stuff. Like very true to my faith, and like no bad stuff ever, you know.
Like following the 10 Commandments.
Yeah,
right? Like you were given like a list of rules, and then it's like really
you
have to do this, or like
exactly really being like obedient, bad.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I think what really made me think about or questioning God and questioning my faith, I think that's the word, faith.
Right.
Yeah. Questioning God. Yeah. Not holy. Questioning God and questioning faith was learning world religions. So I think grade 11, and knowing that like all these other people believe in different things. Mm-hmm. And then in high school I took a philosophy class, and that really challenges like the idea of God, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm similar in that. After learning about other religions, that's what really challenged me. I was like, oh, but like these people believe this, and like what makes what I believe more right than what they believe.
Yeah.
And I also found, like, learning about religions, that there really is like a lot of similarities. Like if you actually look at them, like Judaism, Islam, anything, like there is a lot of similarities in religions. And I think people miss that a lot of the time, and that's what kind of causes a lot of tension between, you know, religious groups and stuff like that, is you don't really fully understand what else like someone believes, you know. But
I think when I was growing up, I always I guess I had like a philosophical lens and was always questioning everything, like, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yes.
Which is like a common question, right? So I guess I mean, it is a big question to ask you, but what are your thoughts on that?
Like bad things happening to good people.
Yeah, bad things happening to good people, or like
just like injustice in general.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That is a loaded question.
People are always saying, oh, well, God has a plan for all of us.
Right.
Things happen for a reason, and but it's
to an extent, I guess I do believe that. I think that we are all here for a specific purpose.
Nice, yeah.
And maybe that purpose requires you to struggle a little bit or go through hard times in order for you to learn something, or like seek some sort of higher truth. I guess.
Yeah.
That
makes sense. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know, like the whole bad things happening to good people. It's hard. It's a hard thing to think about, because you think about even like children and how innocent they are, and like how a lot of really bad, wrong things happen to kids. And it's like, why? Like
exactly, right.
What is the reason? But I think that's something that maybe we'll never know until
death.
Yeah, like after this life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. Jess, I guess, can we go back to you talking about the yoga practices and how you bring those philosophies back into your life? Can you talk more about that?
So with yoga, I find it very spiritual because it's a lot like meditation, which is also, in my opinion, a very spiritual practice. So with yoga, it's like a moving meditation. So you're connecting like your mind and your body into one. And I guess like a big part of yoga is like letting go of your ego, right? So we have this thing in life where we're just like, when you feel held back or you feel like you can't do something, it's because your ego is telling you that you can't do that. So through yoga, I think I've kind of learned to like release that a little bit and like let go of my ego. And I'm in no way, shape, or form perfect. I still have an ego and I'm still a human, but I think through practicing yoga, it's really taught me to just be present, like be in the present moment. There is no past and the future hasn't happened yet. Like all you have is here and now, and what you can do with your life all really depends on what you do in this present moment. So I guess I kind of bring that into my life, or at least try to do that. As I said, I'm not perfect, but it's definitely something I think that's good to remember.
Yeah. That's like really beautiful, because it's honestly really true. And when I do practice yoga myself, and I think so I started doing this kind of a list every morning and trying to hit all these different tasks to accomplish every single morning, but it can get intimidating. And on that list it was meditation, going to the gym, doing yoga, and like just being active in general. But when I can just do yoga itself, and it is meditation already, and it is a form of exercise, and it's just like one simple thing that I can focus on and better myself that way.
Yeah, you're so right. Like,
yeah,
people always look for, like, I think search for like multiple things to bring them peace or like bring them happiness, but it's like a lot of people don't realize that there's one thing that exists that actually brings you that. Like, if you want physical activity and you want to better your body, yoga does that. If you want to better your mind, yoga does that. Like, there's so many aspects to it that I'm still learning now, but it's so true. Like, just do yoga. That's why I always tell people, like, just do yoga. Like, any problem, like, no, just go do yoga. It's fine. Like,
I think it's interesting how yoga is in different generations. Because, say, for example, my dad never knew what yoga was till I brought it up to him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, like with him, he was at the house, of course, because he got laid off for work during COVID, and he started looking at YouTube videos to work out. And I said, "Oh, you should try yoga videos and see how that is." And he's like, "What's that?" And then he watched a video and it was like, "Oh, stretching." Okay.
Yeah. No stretching, which is like true. It is. It's a good stretch. You get a good stretch in, but I think it's like one of those things you have to like actually do and start doing to really recognize what it does for you, like just overall as like a person, right? But
do you think there's a division of generations with yoga? Like, I guess, because it's been around for so long, right?
Oh God, yeah, it's like ancient, like so
or maybe
long.
it's division in cultures in yoga. Like, yoga wasn't in the Philippines necessarily. It's not a huge thing there. Or maybe in India, it's a big thing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a little bit of both, and I think just with like our current state of things and I don't know, the world in general right now, I think people are looking for something to bring them that like kind of peace or stability when things feel chaotic. And I think that's kind of been going on for the last few years, which is why I think yoga has become more of like a mainstream thing.
Yeah, agreed.
So like I think maybe that's it. Like, maybe they just, like, our parents' generation didn't really have access to the type of like resources we have now. Like right now you can just like go on YouTube and Google yoga for whatever, yoga for hamstrings, yoga for anxiety, and like you'll have like a list of things that comes up. But for them, like, I don't think it was like as like out there.
Yeah, like they weren't able to find a video as accessibly as we are right now. Yeah, that's true.
We have everything at our fingertips, so we have it really good.
Like what our generation was able to access in comparison to what we're able to access now. How do you think that is with, I guess, the state of the world and all the movements happening? Like, what are your thoughts on access to the knowledge now in comparison to before?
Okay, well, I think there's like positive and negative sides to it. So like obviously it's great that we have access to all this information and it's literally instantaneous. Like something could happen and 5 minutes later it'll be on your newsfeed on Instagram, on Facebook, on whatever social media platform you choose to use. And I think that's good for spreading awareness and allowing people to be educated and to know what's going on in the world that you live in. However, at the same time, I think that things become oversaturated and there's so much information that sometimes it's hard to sift through what's right and what's wrong or what's accurate. And so that can be a little bit challenging. But I definitely think that we benefit from just like social media and our access to information now. Like we definitely benefit from it. So yeah, I think it's good and bad.
I definitely agree. I think also the overconsumption of everything that we're able to access and take in, it can be a lot. And I don't know if this is statistically true, but apparently that there's a lot more like issues with our generation in comparison to the previous generation, just because of like technology itself.
Oh, for sure. And the thing with that is like, I'm assuming you're talking about like mental health and like
Yes,
stuff like that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The thing with that is like, because it's such a new thing, we don't really have any statistics on it. Like there isn't solid research that shows us like, oh, by being on social media this much, like it does this to your brain. Like we don't have that yet, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of this thing where we're like almost like guinea pigs. Like we are like testing ground for social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, I think, in the next couple of years when studies actually start coming out. Maybe there are studies now. I actually haven't really looked into that. So
Me neither.
I don't really know. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting, I think.
Yeah. So I was chatting with someone, and they sell skincare products, and they were saying that their sunscreen protects you from the blue rays that are coming from your computer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, people always say get blue light glasses
for your eyes,
to block it out and stuff, right? But for the light to actually affect your skin, like, is that, I'm like, what, is that a thing? And it's stronger than UV light, which is what she was saying. I don't know. I don't have the facts to back it up, but
right. That's interesting though, because like I know, like with your eyes, like obviously your eyes are like a very sensitive part of your body too, and like even on an Apple, like you can shift into night mode where it like is it night mode?
Takes out the okay,
where it takes out like the blue light.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there is like something to that, but yeah, that's the thing. Like we don't have any like actual
research and facts for it, right? Yeah. I think going back to like how our parents consume knowledge, I was thinking about how they're so used to, I guess, olden ways. So like watching the news or reading the newspaper, and they don't consume news the same way we do. And our news is from I guess parents are starting to look at Facebook as some type of news as well. But we really look at Twitter, Facebook, and maybe Instagram for like sources, and we're not necessarily getting it from the TV news, the news channel. Like I don't think I've read a newspaper. I don't even know.
It's been a while.
But I see my dad consuming like the news from the newspaper every single day. Right.
Same. And actually, like now that you say that, it kind of makes me think that like maybe that's where the divide is, even with stuff that's going on in like the world now, is because like the older generation consumed their information from like straight from like mainstream media, right? So like newspapers, like news broadcasts on the TV and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas we rely more on each other for information.
True. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe that's where the difference is there.
Definitely. Yeah. I was also I was chatting with a friend about, so he's older. So we were chatting about the protests that are happening, and I said to him, what do you think the demographic is? Is it more your people your age being in the protest, or people my age being in the protest? And like and he's like, oh, definitely your people are more engaged, like people around your age. And it's true. Sure. Like, I guess if you look in the streets and see who's participating, it's a lot of young people, right? And like, I don't know, it's interesting.
Well, that's true.
Question.
It is true. Wow, yeah, I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
Because now that I think about it, like even seeing videos of the protests and stuff, like you'll see the odd like person from like the older generation there, but for the most part, it's like young people, right?
Yeah,
like people that are like our age. Yeah.
So that was interesting, because I'm like, oh, is that also where the divide is? And yeah.
Oh wow,
it's interesting.
So much to think about.
And then one more thing I also was talking to a friend about is that he said that if the old generation dies out, then maybe the problems will be solved. So that was his comment, and I thought about that, because I don't think that is the solution at all. I think that the old generation can still pass down their beliefs and their like philosophies and spiritualities, all of that stuff that we were talking about, down to their kin, to their children, their grandchildren and stuff, right? And then that's where the problem may continue.
Right. I've heard like a few people say that also, like, oh, we just need to get rid of the boomers. And I'm like, okay, but
how does that solve anything?
Does that, like, that doesn't really solve anything. And the fact of the matter is like, you can't, like, with anything, you can't just lump everyone into one specific thing. Like, yeah, maybe there are some boomers that are, or boomers, like, older generations that are
go for it.
a little bit radical, or they don't necessarily understand where we're coming from, but that doesn't mean that they're all that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's such a sticky...
It is
a sticky situation, but I mean, I guess I could see how people think that, but I don't know if I necessarily like totally agree.
I guess going it back and kind of tying everything together, so I'm thinking of how can yoga bring people together, but I never learned yoga until now, like recently.
Right.
How can children learn yoga, I guess, and bringing it into the educational system, and would that help shift things? And like learning about meditation at a young age, will that help shift everything in a better light? I don't know if that makes sense.
I think it would, honestly. Like implementing like even some kind of like meditative practice. It doesn't even have to be like yoga, because I know for a lot of people, like meditation doesn't always work just by like sitting and like, you know, doing like focusing on your breath and that kind of thing. I think meditation can be different for everyone, but at the same time, I think yoga is a good way to do that and also be like physically active, like we were talking about before. So like now they have like phys ed programs, right, where the kids will go. So even if they did like a little part of phys ed at the end where they did yoga and then kind of like incorporated that all together, I think it would kind of shift things for like the greater population of people. And the thing about yoga is like it's not discriminatory, right? Like anyone can do it. It doesn't matter what shape, what size, what color, anything you are. It doesn't matter what you believe. You can still implement these practices into your everyday life.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Do you have any resources, I guess, that people who are planning or thinking of doing yoga that have helped you, if like they want to start doing yoga for themselves?
Yeah, for sure. One person I would highly recommend.
I think I know.
Somebody I started doing yoga with that really kind of brought me on this journey is Adrienne Michelin. I can never remember how to say her last name, but it's Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, and she is probably like one of the purest souls. Like her voice is just so calming, and she brings this like really peaceful, meditative, like take care of yourself vibe into her yoga practices that you just like you can't help but love her. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that if you're wanting to start doing yoga or going on some kind of yogic journey.
Yeah. I practice her videos all the time, so I think
we did one of hers together one day.
Jess and I did a yoga practice together, and we're like, oh my god, like, this position.
We're like, oh no.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you for talking to me about spirituality and yoga and all the crazy things.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Boomer generation versus our generation.
Sure. Thanks for having me, and I just want to say congratulations on starting this podcast, because I think it's a really, I don't know, it's like a good thing that you're doing. I think using your voice and speaking up is important, and it's something that I'm like learning more so lately. So just good for you.
Thanks, Jess. Did you want to leave any information on how they can reach you? Maybe your YouTube channel? Or...
I do YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Earth, Wind, and Jess. You can find me there. I just make a lot of videos about community. That's something that's really important to me. And there's some yoga stuff on there and just stuff for fun. And I'm also like an environmental activist, so you'll find some stuff about that there also.
Cool. Yeah. That's great. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Erika.
Bye.
Bye.